Okay, so inheritance is a property of object-oriented programming that allows us to create objects or classes that are based on other classes. Okay, so an example of this might be if I create a vehicle class, and it might have a method called drive, and it might have a property called gas that represents the number of gallons left in the tank. Okay, so we have a method and probably a float that represents the amount of gas remaining in the vehicle. Those are common to most vehicles, right? Now, I might then create a truck class and a car class that are based on that vehicle class. They're both based on this, so they both have both drive and gas. A truck does and a car does. But I can also, now that I've created these derivative classes, maybe add to the truck something called load up, like to load up the bed of the truck with stuff, and a payload. How much stuff can the truck hold? Because those would be useful, right? The car I might just leave with drive and gas because cars are more generic or more basic, or I might decide other properties. So a truck has these properties and these properties. A car has these properties and whatever else I assign to the car. Now, the reason that we do that is because we can save a lot of work. Another practical way to look at this is maybe if you have a company that has HR software for human resources, you might have a class called employee, and you might have subclasses of that called administrator, clerk. You might have different classes for each position that have certain aspects that are different. So let's take a look at how this would look in code. So we have a vehicle and a truck and a car class. Let's just stick with those. So if I have a class vehicle like this, then it might have a property called gas. Let's say FL gas, because it's a float, 12.5 gallons, and we have STR. Let's say type. Just call that vehicle for now. Actually, we'll leave that off. And we will define a class or a method here, a method called drive. And we'll just say int miles just for fun. And we won't, well, I'll just do this just so we have something. You drove that many miles. Okay. So if I have that class, I can create a generic vehicle that has that property and that method. But if I want to expand on that, if I want to do more, I might say class truck. And what I would tell Python is that it's based on the vehicle class. So I'm actually passing that as if it was an argument to the new class to tell it that it's based on the vehicle, which means it gets those properties and methods from the superclass, which would be a vehicle. Okay? You could call that the superclass. Sometimes people call it the parent class. I think parent goes nicely with the inheritance idea. And maybe the truck would have a payload. where it says something like 300, whatever, 300 pounds. It's kind of a tiny little truck, but okay. It's a clown truck. And then maybe hey, we have a load up. And we maybe add what we're putting in there. So it starts empty, and when we call this method, we go self dot cargo equals str cargo. There we go. Now something gets put in the truck. So we have a car. We can have a car, class car, and that's also based on vehicle. And I don't have to do anything else there, because if I just want the car to have this and this, that's all I have to do. If I want, I can add other things there. But that's what inheritance means. Inheritance means that if I create a truck, it will have gas and drive. Let's just show you here. My truck equals truck. Okay, and that does not take anything there. Print my truck dot gas. Okay, so we don't have gas defined anywhere here because it inherits it from here. So I can actually print the amount of gas in my truck from there. When I run this code, you can see that it inherits that property from the superclass.